New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good evening, and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Jim Webb. I serve as the Senior Minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I am also the author of the book, The Miracle of Prosperity, as well as a number of other books, including 30 P's to Prosperity, Prosperity from A to Z, Forgive Your Way to Prosperity, and Create Your Self-Manifesting Vision Board. So every Sunday night, we come to you and we discuss an aspect of prosperity. Because prosperity is more than just money and stuff. And prosperity is not the result of money and stuff. Prosperity is an inner energy of love that flows to you and through you and expresses as you. And all the forms that love can take in your life are expressions and aspects of prosperity. For example, we may discuss professional prosperity, where, in the words of Florence Scovel-Shinn, you have an excellent job with excellent pay. You provide an excellent service in an excellent way. We may discuss relationship prosperity, where you have cultivated a loving, accepting, supportive relationship with yourself from within. And so you see that reflected outside of you in the form of loving, supportive relationships with others and your world. We may discuss logistical prosperity, where moving through your life is easy and effortless without struggle, lack, or difficulty. And of course, we discuss spiritual prosperity, where you find and hold the peace that passes all understanding, no matter what is going on in your outer world. So we may discuss ways to remove the barriers to prosperity, because prosperity is simply love taking form, and love is all there is. So in the idea of Rumi, our task is to remove the barriers to it. Or we may discuss spiritual practices, spiritual outlooks, or spiritual approaches that can help us cultivate more of a consciousness of prosperity. So tonight I'm very excited, and I hope you are too. So let us know you're here and greet our guest. I'm very excited because we have a special guest tonight, and we're going to be discussing a special topic. The topic tonight is appreciate your way to prosperity. Appreciate your way to prosperity. And our special guest tonight is an author, a healer, a spiritual speaker, a spiritual teacher. His book is called Only Feed Me Life, Jerome Braggs. Welcome, Jerome.
Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be back one more time. So I'm excited about this conversation and honored to be asked to be here. So
We're
thank
so
you.
glad you're here. Now, first of all, I heard good news about you that I have to share with our audience because they love you so. I heard that you are going to be the keynote speaker at the International Near Death Conference, annual conference this year. Is that true or is that just a rumor?
That is true. I don't know if they've announced that quite yet.
Oops.
They're hearing it here. They're hearing it here first. But yes, that is true.
Oops.
I have been booked for that, so I will be that. So you all are hearing an exclusive. Don't tell anybody else yet until they announce it. But it should be being announced pretty soon. But yes, that is true.
Okay. Well, that's just a testament to the power of your work.
Thank
You had a near-death experience and it changed your life. You brought back to us a great deal of spiritual wisdom, a totally different set of insights and perspectives. You brought back with us the peace for us, the peace that passes all understanding. Because what we fear more than anything is death and hell because we've been miseducated. And you cracked the code that that truly doesn't exist, not just because it's an intellectual hell doesn't exist and there is no death, but because you experienced it. But your wisdom didn't stop there. You came back as an open channel to the truth of God, and you teach that so wonderfully. So I don't want to tell your own story. Tell us briefly how you became a spiritual teacher, and then tell us a little bit more about how spiritual wisdom continues to flow to you and through you.
Thank you so much. I like to say there's a before and an after Jerome.
Yes.
There is a before Jerome, which was the Jerome I was before January 1st, 2004. And
Mhm.
then there's the after Jerome, which
Yes.
is the Jerome who has become this version of me that I am sitting here today that happened
Mhm.
after January 21st, January 2004. And
Yes.
so on January 1st, 2004, I had checked into the hospital. I was 24 years old, freshly out of college, actually. I just a few months out of college. Um, and I had checked into the hospital with what I thought was the flu, a severe case of the flu, and instead got diagnosed with several life-threatening illnesses and two terminal diseases, which were kidney failure and AIDS. And
Mm.
when I was diagnosed with all of that, I was told I had about 7 days to live. And
Mm.
on my deathbed, I had I had a life review in which I began to see my life, how I had lived my life, the choices I had made in my life,
Mhm.
and what was happening for me in life review. And a life review is something many people who've had a near-death experience will talk about. Mine was a bit different because I did not die. This was actually happening while I was on my deathbed, still
Mhm.
alive. Um, and there's some people have a different life review where they're able to feel the feelings of other people that they've encountered with and all of that. Mine was a bit different. Mine was, I was looking at all of, almost like a movie screen. I was looking at all of my decisions and what I had happened to me and the
Mhm.
choices I had made. And what I came out of that understanding was I had never really lived a Jerome life, that I had been given this one opportunity to be a Jerome, that
Mhm.
this soul being that I am had chosen to be a Jerome in this life, and I had never really been Jerome. I had
Mhm.
suppressed my authentic self in many ways. I
Mhm.
had not really followed my heart and lived what I thought would really make me happy. I was doing what I thought would make money or what people told me to really be doing.
In other words, like that song Easy by Lionel Richie, everybody wants me to be what they want me to be, and you hadn't found out what you wanted to be. Is that accurate?
Exactly, exactly. And I hadn't really, really shared my heart with the people I most cared about, meaning I hadn't really told them how much they mean to me. I had never really, given appreciation and gratitude for them in the ways that I really wanted to.
Mhm.
And I didn't feel like I had lived my purpose. So on my deathbed, I made a decision after I was through seeing that whole thing. I was like, wow, I don't want to die like that. And I
Mhm.
wasn't scared to die because I had already been on a spiritual path for a few years. By that time, I was a student of the law of attraction. I had been menteed by Dr. Michael Beckwith. And
Yes.
so I had, I was on this spiritual path for a while. So I knew I was a soul.
Mhm.
I knew that death wasn't necessarily going to be the end for me, but I didn't want to leave life not having lived it. And
Okay.
that's what I felt like was getting ready to happen. And so
Mhm.
I said, okay, I'm going to live. And so I threw everything I knew about, the law of attraction and manifesting our lives and creating our lives at the time at this situation. And it worked. 3 months
Mhm.
afterwards, that I was in the hospital for a month. 2 months after I got out of the hospital and was at home, I fully healed myself.
Mhm.
There was no HIV or AIDS in my system anymore. My kidneys were back to fully functioning, and I was being called a miracle child.
Mhm.
And I thought I had it all figured out. I thought I had
Mhm.
it all figured out, that I knew how to manifest and all this stuff,
Mhm.
until a year and a half later, I found myself back in that same hospital with the exact same diagnosis, all those life-threatening illnesses and those two diseases again, to the
Mm.
very T cell count.
Mhm.
And this time, instead of 7 days, I had 48 hours. And
Mhm.
on my deathbed at this time, because the doctors had left me because they were going to try and do some type of emergency surgery to kind of prolong my life for a few more weeks. So they were trying to prep that. And when they left, I had questions come up in me. I didn't have a life review, but I just had questions. And the questions that came up were, I knew that if this was all happening again, this wasn't a coincidence. This was
Yes.
a message.
Mhm.
My soul was trying to get my attention to something through this
Yes.
experience that I was very trying hard to ignore previously.
Yes.
And I knew that I didn't, as much as I thought I had it all figured out what the law of attraction was about, how to manifest, how to heal,
Mhm.
all of that. I
Mhm.
realized that there was something missing, that there was a
Mhm.
missing link, apparently, and that
Mhm.
I wanted to know what it really was. I wanted to know
Mhm.
how to heal. And I wanted to learn how to live, not just heal my body, but I had a very specific ask. And that ask was, I wanted to know what it really took to live a really well life, a really
Mhm.
delicious life.
Okay.
Um,
Is that where you came up with the idea or the truth, let's say, that most people are starving for love, and that starvation for love is what causes the body to malfunction?
Well, this is what happened after this near death experience that happened. Right, because right when I asked that question, I had a near death experience, and I
Mhm.
crossed over to the other side.
Mhm.
And when I was in that realm, I had a conversation with Source, with what
Yes.
some people call God, but
Mhm.
I felt it as like an aspect of me, like it
Mhm.
was almost like my higher self. And
Yes.
I had a conversation with this presence, and it felt like this all encompassing love that
Mhm.
was this full aspect of well-being, like beyond
Mhm.
wellness, it was
Okay.
well-being. All
Okay.
is wellness. That's kind of what it
Yes.
felt like.
Okay.
And it said that I'd asked this question, and the answer to
Mhm.
my questions was to come back home
Mhm.
to the soul, to come
Mhm.
back to like living as the soul in your life.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that the way to do that was the practice of self-love.
Okay.
And that I was going to learn about this, and that
Mhm.
um, I was going to, once I learned about it, that I didn't really know about it for real, and that
Mhm.
once I learned about it, I was going to teach it. And
Yes.
so after that, the experience was over, and I had this, the big wake up call. It was like, okay, I've had this experience. I've been given this choice. Do I
Yes.
want to live this life of coming back into oneness with my soul and
Mhm.
learning it through self love? And so I dedicated my life to that, and my life became a masterclass in returning to the soul. Um,
Mm.
after that. And there were many experiences that happened, but a few of them really quickly that gets me to kind of answer your question and also how I got here. The first one that happened was I became an energy healer, and I studied energy healing. As a matter of fact, I think I studied, as a matter of fact, I know I studied it.
I know you did.
And I studied it at the Coma Park Metaphysical Chapter.
Yes.
And and as I was, this is one of the first aspects where I was introduced to the frequency of the soul. Because one of the things that we were doing in this, and I was drawn to energy healing because one of the things that I was introduced to in my first after my first near-death experience during my healing journey was energy healing. I was working with the energy healer. I had never experienced that before. And I really liked it. And so I was like, oh, I think I want to, I'm still ill. Like I didn't fully heal after that second one. So I'm still experiencing the illnesses. And I was like, well, I think I want to learn. I was feeling this pull to learn it. And so I was taking the classes, and one of the things they would have us do was put our hands on the shoulders of someone that we were working with.
Yes.
And just pass energy through. There was something that happened that was different for me when I did this. When I put my hands on the shoulders of the person, immediately I began to feel their soul. I began to feel the energy of the soul. And it was exactly the energy that I felt on the other side. So there was this reintroduction to the soul. And no matter who they were, no matter what their race, religion, sexuality, age, any of that, no matter who they were, their soul felt like this. And I was getting this knowing that, oh my gosh, this is what the soul is. This is what the energy of love is. This is who we are. And then I was beginning to also feel the energy that they were holding in the body. And their energy in their body oftentimes was very different than what their energy of their soul was. And I could tell if they were going through an illness, what the energy that they were holding that was different from their soul, that was the root of what it was. It was like a disconnection.
Yes.
It was a disconnection from the energy of their soul. They weren't embodied. And this was the first thing that I was like, this is where this is where a lot of our suffering is coming from.
Yes.
We're holding energies in our bodies that are different from the energy of who we really are, no matter how we got there, no matter what it was. And so that was a big aha for me. Now, it took me many years because I was doing that work. Even after I moved back to Oklahoma, I studied it more under other people, and it was still the same thing. I was getting this same message, but it was clarifying for me. And I was like, this is the energy of love that I'm feeling when I feel the soul. And this is the other energies that I'm feeling are what I would call lacks of love in different degrees, whether they were sadness or shame or fear or whatever. And one of the big things that I felt, this is the thing that I felt, number one, when I was on the other side, but again, I could feel in the soul, was a big aspect of the energy of the soul was this feeling of satisfaction, this feeling of being pleased with not just who you are as a being, but everything about you and how you're in your life. And this feeling of fulfillment and this feeling of appreciation. So it was satisfaction is a huge, it's the energy of the soul is almost like a pie. That's several pieces that make it up. Satisfaction was like a huge piece of this pie. And then another thing that happened after that was a few years after that is a gift of mediumship opened for me. And I began to talk with souls on the other side who had made that transition, who had lived once and now are on the other side because they've transitioned. And they began to speak to me, even though I was doing, readings for people, helping them say your loved one is okay, they're fine. Here's what they think about you. Here's what they want you to know. They would always tell me, almost every person, this was a unique kind of thing with my experience with mediumship. Those souls would tell me about their life review. And they would say, here's what I saw in my life review. And here's what from that understanding, here's how I look back at my life, and I look not necessarily wish, but I would prefer that I would have done differently.
Okay.
And almost every time, the main thing was they wanted to live a more authentic life,
Okay.
a life where they had done what actually truly makes them happy.
Okay.
And not everybody had really done that. So I learned another thing. Oh,
Yes.
soul wants to live authentically and it
Mm-hmm.
wants to be happy. This is
Okay.
what it finds most important about how we live our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing that got me here was I began to channel
Mm-hmm.
shortly after that. And initially, I would keep the challenges were for me. I would just
Mm-hmm.
write them. I would
Right.
write down what was coming.
Yes.
And what I began to understand, because I would ask a lot of questions about who am I channeling, what is this, and initially, because of where I was in my understanding, and I really understand the spirit speaks to you at your level of understanding in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I could not really process that this was an aspect of me. I needed to
Mm-hmm.
process it as this was some kind of other
External being.
internal something. So I would say
Yes.
these are my guides. That's what I used to
Uh-huh.
say in the beginning. These
Yeah.
are my guides. But as I began to do it more and more and more, and my consciousness began to expand around it, I began to really get downloads of understanding of no, this is your higher self, this is your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And what was very important about that was I began to see through my conversations, channel conversations, what the perception of the soul is like.
Mm-hmm.
And the human perception has many different varying ranges, right? We can perceive things through the eyes of love, and we can perceive things through the eyes of a lack of love. And oftentimes we are perceiving ourselves with the lack of love. We're perceiving the events and spaces that are happening in our lives through a lack. But I began to see the channeled version was always through this viewpoint of satisfaction,
Mm-hmm.
daily appreciation of me, of whatever event, no matter how painful I thought the event was, that it was a viewpoint of like appreciation for the value it was giving me in some
Mm-hmm.
different ways. And
Okay.
it was a perception of optimism, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that even though this may have not felt good, and this may have not been something that was fully a positive thing,
Mm-hmm.
positive things are going to come out of this.
Yes.
And then it was a perception of worthiness,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are lovable enough as you are, and
Mm-hmm.
you have enough. No matter
Yes.
where you are, this is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to, so this was an understanding for me that shifted me with like, oh, the soul has the perception of love is one of worthiness, satisfaction, and optimism.
Yes.
And this energy of love is a deep sense of satisfaction and worthiness and freedom and
Mm-hmm.
ease or peace.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that this is what we're being called to, this is what I'm being called to embody. This
Okay.
is what I'm being called to be and
Mm-hmm.
feel. No matter what else is going on in my life, no matter what rationality I may try to
Mm-hmm.
do, what I'm being asked to do is to develop and cultivate this perception of everything,
Mm-hmm.
myself included, and a
Mm-hmm.
feeling within me daily of this
Okay.
consistently and more frequently. And so
Okay.
that's where I began to understand, oh, this is what self-love is about. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about just saying affirmations and all of this.
Or taking bubble baths.
And taking bubble baths and buying myself nice things, or even saying
Right.
affirmations, which are
Right.
helpful, but not the fullness of self-love. Self-love is about choosing. It is the practice of cultivating a way of perceiving things that allows me to perceive them through satisfaction, worthiness, um, and feeling the feelings of worthiness and satisfaction and peace, and
Mm-hmm.
to make, so are my thoughts allowing me to do this? Are the
Yes.
choices I'm making for myself allowing me to feel this? Is the way I'm living my lifestyle about feeling this, or is it making me feel less this?
Okay. So if I understand you correctly, self-love, in your view, based on your experience, is a consciousness and an energy that causes you to feel peace, satisfaction, self-acceptance, self-satisfaction, and the peace that comes from self-acceptance and self-satisfaction. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, it's a practice that allows you basically to embody the perception and energy of love.
Okay.
So you are literally loving. This is why it's loving yourself. You are literally becoming the frequency of love, the essence of what you are through this practice. And so there are things we've been doing sometimes when we say we're loving ourselves that are actually taking you out of that, right? So you could be buying the things, taking the massages, getting all those things. And while they may feel good physically, but you're still in the job you hate.
Right.
You're still in this relationship where you're not really fully being yourself, and that makes you feel suppressed. So it's this aspect of how well are you, and this is why it's daily. It's a daily thing. You can go in and out. This is part of life. But it's how well are you embodying the energy and the consciousness of what you really are, which is
Okay, and let's work with that for a moment before break, and then we're going to come back and talk about appreciation. The way we'll work with that for one moment more before break is cultivating that energy of love causes you, because an aspect of it is worthiness and deservingness. So cultivating that energy of love allows you to allow yourself all the good you deserve and you desire. And that's what we call prosperity. Is that right?
Yeah, because love, the frequency of love, this is the big aha, right?
Yes, it's the central point of my book. But you tell it. Yes.
So the frequency of love is literally the frequency that manifests heaven.
Yes.
So heaven is a state of being more than it is a place.
Yes.
And your soul, when you cross over to the other side, you are in the fullness of your soul without any contradictory beliefs that you've gathered here, or you're in your soul's consciousness.
Yes.
And you're in your soul's vibration. And that's why people are experiencing such a delicious, blissful experience, not because there's a place where that is, it's because they're in the state of being that manifests all of that.
Absolutely. So we'll come back after break and we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But for now, we're going to go to break, and we'll be back here on The Miracle of Prosperity.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought, Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network. Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Come be you.
What would Louise say? Join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Hosted by Reverend Martine Bernard. Explore the wisdom of Louise Hay. Brought to you by New Thought Media Network. Dive into Louise's teachings. Experience healing and empowerment. Reverend Martine shares insights. Connect with a contemporary audience. Unlock your potential. Transform your life with love. Embrace positivity and healing. Join our vibrant community. Ready to join us? Let's spread love and wisdom together. Please like, share, and subscribe. Only on New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
And we're back here on The Miracle of Prosperity with my special guest, Jerome Braggs. Now, I'm not going to summarize what we talked about in the first half of this program, because any summary wouldn't do it justice and would sound reductionist. I just want to say that your amazing spiritual journey, where you have become aligned with your soul as it feeds you the life force that keeps you whole, has brought through a great deal of wisdom. Now, one of the pieces of wisdom that you imparted that I wanted to drill down on is the wisdom of appreciation, and not instead of, but as an alternative to Thanksgiving. And the reason that there is such a powerful distinction between the two, and the reason that appreciation can be an even more powerful tool for prosperity. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about appreciation versus Thanksgiving and why the two are different, first of all.
Yeah. So this can be a very transformative understanding once you get it and practice once you do it. So you got to think of everything in terms of energy. You are an energetic being made of the higher frequencies, the highest frequency really of love and the different aspects of love, satisfaction being one of those. And so when you think about things about energy, what you're wanting to think that, and again, my journey was about attuning myself to the frequency that is my soul and bringing that in. One, because when you embody that frequency manifests wellness in the body and well-being in the life, right? Mm-hmm. So, and the lack of that frequency manifests unwellness in the body and dysfunction and suffering in the life. And so when we think about frequency, you're thinking about the higher and higher and higher you go, the more and more and more you are aligning with the frequency of your soul, the essence of your soul.
Yes.
So when we talk about the difference between these, which is what I discovered in my journey, I talked at the beginning about one of the main pieces of the pie of love frequency that you are is satisfaction.
Yes.
And how satisfaction really feels and how it views the perception of satisfaction as well as the feeling of it or vibration of it. Mm-hmm. It feels like I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with whatever this is. There is nothing missing or wrong about this. This is fulfilling for me. I enjoy this. I see the value of this, and this is celebratory to me. Yes. So satisfaction is kind of that type of energy. So when you think about that, the thing that gets you closest to that lands that energy in the body is appreciation. Appreciation is the purer energy of that. Because when you appreciate something, you're looking at the value of it. You're thinking the good value of it. This is a good value. Yes. This is something I'm very pleased with. This is something I see really good in. Yes. This is something that I celebrate.
Yes.
And so when you're looking at something from appreciation, you are in that frequency, which is an alignment with the frequency of the soul.
And let me share with you.
Go ahead.
Because I loved that teaching so much that I started including appreciation in my miracle journal. I have a special journal for all my miracles and musings. And I started doing 3 satisfactions a day, which turned into 10 or 20 many times. And then it turned into 10 or 20 in the morning and 10 or 20 at night. And it was just amazing, because what it caused me to realize, and I may be off base, but what it caused me to realize was that coming from that place of all is already well, and I am satisfied, and all is enough, and all is perfect, all of a sudden, Thanksgiving felt like a different energy. It felt like, well, I'm thankful for this because otherwise I'm not enough. I'm thankful for this, otherwise it's not enough. I'm thankful, and it just had a different vibration. And I don't know, maybe you can help me understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, so it does have a different vibration. I don't necessarily say that it's a worse. It's just a little bit lower.
It's a lower.
And so, and I love for people to start with that if they've never done any of it, because it will raise you a bit.
Yes.
But it's not a pure vibration, is what I like to call it. It's not a purely.
It's tinged with lack.
Because
on the other side of Thanksgiving is the lack that this Thanksgiving has covered over or addressed.
Exactly. So oftentimes when we're thinking about Thanksgiving or gratitude, it usually comes in the form of like, I'm thankful that I have enough food on the table because I used to not.
Yes.
Or I see a lot of people who don't.
Yes.
Or I'm thankful for my home because God, I remember when it was smaller than this and it wasn't this. And so it usually comes in, it has a bit of what you're looking at as far as the valuable of the present, but it usually always has a remembrance of the lack of the past in it.
Yes. I call that energetic ballast, because it's an energy that isn't allowing us to soar, but it is an energy that draws us back down into a prior consciousness, which is no longer as valid or useful for our purposes.
So when you look at it, the difference of like, you can just take a topic, let's say my body, right?
Yes.
So I can say, what am I grateful for about my body? Well, immediately I'm going to start thinking about, oh God, what have I overcome? What are things that, used to not be here, but are here now? And I'm so thankful for them. And so that may make me feel that's going to raise my vibration a little bit. Yes. But there's a difference when I say, okay, so what am I appreciative of? And what I'm in other words, like, what really pleases me about my body?
Yes.
What am I really fulfilled about by my body?
Yes.
What is something that I think is working really well about my body? And that I think it is an entirely different focus. And you'll notice it when you do this practice.
Yes.
You'll notice it feels very different in the body.
Yes.
It is very elevated, and it doesn't have a tinge of, and what you'll find is your consciousness doesn't have a tinge of what you may have overcome or any lack that happens. It's looking at just what's valuable about this in the present moment and just the value. And that's why it's different. There's a different vibration between the two. And this is why I like for people.
It's more absolute and less relative. One is I absolutely enjoy versus I'm enjoy relative to where I was.
Yes, that is a perfect way of explaining it. There's no relativity. There's just absolute presence of what this value is. Okay. And so when you practice it, what you'll find is, again, it feels very different in the body than gratitude. It's a very kind of more elevated, more full kind of sense. You'll find yourself when you're actually doing appreciation journal, you'll find yourself when you get in the flow of it, you'll be smiling. You start to smile.
Yes.
And your body lifts. Yes. And what you begin to notice, one of the things which I'm such a huge, profound teacher of it and proponent of people doing this, is because what you notice is that one of the aspects of consciousness is consciousness expands and attracts. So whatever your consciousness is focused upon, it expands that in your life, and it attracts more of that to you. So when you begin to appreciate things, what ends up happening, and I do this with all of my clients, and they all come back and they say this happens. And it usually happens within the first week. What ends up happening is you have a list of things that you do this, you're appreciating. What ends up happening is what you'll find is within usually 48 hours of you doing this exercise, the very things that you're appreciating about that particular topic. So let's just say it's a person and you just say, I'm going to appreciate, my sister or my mother or my lover or whatever. And you just start writing the things that you're very pleased about them and that you really that really work well for you about them and that really fulfill you about this person. What you'll notice is all of a sudden those things start to become even more present in their interaction with you. They start to do these things more all of a sudden or express these things more all of a sudden.
Yes.
And then the more and more you do this appreciation journal, you begin to not just notice in your life where all these other things are that you appreciate, but things start to be drawn to you that make you appreciative even more. It's the same works with gratitude, but again, remember the gratitude stuff, when you do gratitude and things begin to magnify and draw, because gratitude has the energy of what was the lack. So now you'll have stuff that, the lack in you will begin to expand a bit, and then the resolution of that lack will come, which is what the gratitude is for. The gratitude is for the resolution of the lack, usually.
Yes.
But with appreciation, there's no lack. There's just abundance of something. And so it just becomes a higher experience of prosperity because there's just more and more and more of satisfaction that happens. And you begin to raise your energy. You begin to raise it and embody this energy of satisfaction. You begin to move through life feeling much more satisfied with your life than even you do with gratitude. You feel satisfied with life more when you start to do appreciation.
Yes, and I want to add one thing. It is also a little bit addictive in that the more you practice appreciation and the more you draw more of that which you appreciate, it becomes self-reinforcing. And I've integrated it as a part of my spiritual practice to amazing results. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show to discuss this with everybody, or as one of my folks says, everybody. Discuss it with everybody. So everybody understands this more deeply. And so I'm so glad you were able to describe this so clearly.
Yeah,
Anything else
it
you want
feels
to say about
good.
it? Yes.
One is the addiction is it literally makes you feel good.
Yes.
So the more you start to appreciate, the more you also are cultivating a consciousness of appreciation because you're now looking at things through the lens of appreciation. And you start to feel emotionally, energetically good. And then you start to, like you just said, you start to draw things that make you feel, because this is what the law of attraction actually, one of the things people don't talk about enough about it, is that it takes the energy you're holding and it makes sure your reality is a mirror of that. But it also makes sure it magnifies that energy. And so it makes it bigger, it expands it within you. So appreciation is definitely something you want expanded in you because it feels great.
Absolutely. So everybody, or everybody, depending on where you're from, integrating appreciation into your prosperity practice can be powerful. You've just had Jerome Braggs tell you how amazing it is, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more on the other side of the break, as well as what else is happening here on the New Thought Media Network.
Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Ohm Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity with Jerome Braggs, and we're speaking about appreciate your way to prosperity. Now, right before we went on the break, my phone was buzzing. I got a text from someone with a question. The essence of the question was, how do we appreciate those things that are, quote, negative, that we might judge as negative? How do we appreciate those? Can you help her with that?
Yeah, so I am a big believer in starting with the easy things first. So get a journal, do the things that are already working with you, because this is going to, again, it's expanding your perception of appreciation. So your perception of it may be down here, but as you begin to work with this, it expands. And as it starts to expand, what ends up happening is you'll be able to view other things that may not have necessarily been at such a high level with the perception of appreciation. So you start with, so if your home is something you love, you start with that. Or if maybe you have a pet and you love your pet, you start with that. Or if there's something about your personality you really like, I like my sense of humor, I might start with that. And then what ends up happening is I've gotten such a feeling of appreciation in me around that. And this is also, there are two things that happen. There's a science behind it and an energetic aspect. I've talked about the law of attraction. So the more you start to practice appreciation, the more you begin to, your viewpoint of appreciation expands and your ability to look through appreciation expands. The scientific aspect of this is there's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. It keeps your brain from being overloaded. And what they found, science has found, is any given moment, just like this moment you're listening to both of us here on this show, there are over 400 million bits of information for the brain to process.
So is this selective perception?
This is kind of selective perception, because what they found, so there's over 400 million bits of information, but your brain can actually only process and stay healthy 2,000 bits. So you really are not even really seeing and processing all of what's actually here. Well, what ends up happening is that reticular activating system determines what those 2,000 bits are going to be. And you get to actually influence what it decides based upon what you set your intentions on, what your belief systems are, and what your decisions about what you're going to focus on, which is what your intentions are. So when you start to do appreciation, you're setting into intention that I want to see things through the eyes of satisfaction. And so it begins to shift what you see in your life and how you view life. And you begin to see more and more things for satisfaction. So start first with the easy things. And then all of a sudden, what you're going to be against, then you go, okay, I've done this easy stuff in my life for a week. Now let me try the things that are more difficult for me. Maybe I've had a difficult relationship, or I'm having a health challenge. And now I'm going to think about my health state. Maybe I'm going to look at what I appreciate about my health state, or what I appreciate about this relationship. And you begin to find it's easier now than if you would have just started with that and you have not had this practice and this stuff and your reticular activating system on your side and the law of attraction on your side. What you'll find is your old perception is running the show, and it's going to find more and more things that are wrong instead of more and more things that are right. And what you'll find is if you begin to do it the easy way first, the hard stuff becomes easier. And then the hard stuff, I've seen this on countless topics all over my own life and countless people I've worked with around the world. when you begin to shift your perception about something, no matter how painful or suffering it is, it begins to shift for you. It begins to match your perception. And so if you can get the perception of heaven, which is the perception of satisfaction and appreciation towards something, it begins to be heaven-like for you. Stuff that you tried in many years before to fix, to whatever, just by appreciating it, it begins to literally shift on its own in ways that you will think are miraculous.
Yes.
But it's the law. But I do not suggest you start there. I say you start the practice of appreciation with what is easy for you to appreciate. And then when you've gotten that under your belt for like a week or so, add in a page or two of something that may be challenging for you.
Yes. And basically what you're saying is, when you shift your perception into an energy of satisfaction and appreciation, you may find different ways to appreciate even that which you had previously judged as negative. You will see it differently. You will lesson God would have you learn, as opposed to a challenge that happens, oh, why me? Oh, why me?
Absolutely.
You will see that there were angels, guides, teachers, energies, loving support that got you through it, as opposed to I'm alone and how did I get through this?
And who you become because of it, right?
Exactly.
And the expansion you got. Because what you're doing with appreciation is, we've been using this word, but literally what you're doing is you are bringing love to something.
Yes.
And what actually happens in this realm is anytime love is brought into something, it elevates it, it shifts it, and it changes it to the dimension of love, which is heaven itself. So
exactly. Let's even look at the word appreciation. Appreciate means to make more precious, right? I mean, simply put,
that's it.
Appreciate
Right?
means to make it more precious.
So if you want your life, your health state, your money, right? One of the great things I love to do is have people do an appreciation journal on their money, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, what's pleasing about your money currently and your relationship with your money? There may be a lot going wrong with it, but what is pleasing about it right now?
Yes.
And what you begin to find is, as you do that,
Yes.
that's what he just said, begins to happen. It begins to shift. The more and more you do that, and the less and less you look at it from the opposite of appreciation, which is, you know, criticism or judgment,
Complaint and lack.
yeah. But you begin to look at it from the eyes of love and bring love to it. It begins to become more and more precious of an experience to you.
Yes, beautiful. So thank you for elaborating on that and answering that question, Jerome. You've once again been a wonderful guest, and I appreciate you spending the time with us. So what are you working on these days?
Well, so much is happening. As you said, I'm trying to prepare for this keynote that we have introduced to the world. I am still working with clients, you know, privately. I work with people, spiritual seekers out there who are dealing with illness and chronic illness or disease. I teach them the practice of bringing themselves home to their soul, which I call returning themselves to love. There's various stuff of developing the consciousness of love and embodying the energy of love so that they can heal and begin to manifest a life for them that feels like heaven on earth. So I'm still working with people. I have a few openings. So if anybody wants to, you know, work with me privately, please reach out. You can reach me on my website and book sessions with me there. I am actually in the process of writing my second book, which will actually be about this journey that I've talked about. I'll be going in detail about and some stuff I've never said publicly about my near-death experience, my healing journey afterwards, what it taught me about returning ourselves to love.
Yes.
So that's my main things I'm working with. There'll be a lot of other stuff. I'll have classes coming out later, but right now, this is what my focus is currently.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as always, you know, I know every time I come here, you have something juicy that you have coming out. So please tell people, you know, please tell me And everybody else here, what's going on with you? What do you have going on?
I've got some new classes going on. Opening to channel. This has been an amazing journey for my students, where no matter where you are on the spiritual spectrum, the spectrum of spiritual awareness, you can go further. You can go deeper. So it's 4 more weeks. I'm extending this class 4 more weeks for everybody. And it doesn't matter if you've been on this journey with me this time or before or whatever. You can still join right now. I have 2 more slots available. What it is a series of exercises and experiences that will deepen your connection with spirit, cause you to feel more spirit more intensely, allow you to channel spirit through energetically, and just open you in a safe, loving, and contained environment to channeling spirit more and more and more, no matter how you channel spirit. And some of the miraculous things that have happened have been a person who had and this is just one, for example, but a person who had a fraught relationship with her family all her life. Her family came back in spirit, and she had a deep and profound healing because she was able to open her channel to the realm of love that enabled her family's loving essence, their spirits, to commune with her in the realm of love. And that was just one of many of the miraculous stories of the people who have been on this journey. So that begins tomorrow night. I have 2 slots available still. That begins tomorrow night at 7:30. It's 4 weeks. It's on Zoom. So no matter where you are, you can take it. And it is recorded. So even if you have to miss 1 or 2 of the sessions, you can still get the recordings. It's $80 for members of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel or any other metaphysical organization. It's $100 for friends. And you see all the ways that you can pay. If you've got any questions on it, get to me really quickly before I get text saying I want that last slot. You can text me at 202-253-6009. I'll repeat it, and it's at the bottom of the page, 202-253-6009. Now, I'm coupling this course, because I always do my courses 2 for the price of 1. I'm coupling this course with Ask Spirit Anything. And that's where I channel. And I channel a group of guides, highest of high spiritual vibration, and they answer your questions. Now, generally, they channel on a specific subject. But this 4 weeks set of sessions will enable you to ask questions about anything that has been on your mind or heart, or anything that you've wanted to discuss with spirit that maybe didn't fit into a prior format. So what you'll do is you'll get spirit discussing it from their perspective. You'll get prayers, you'll get healing energies around it. So whatever it is you want to bring to spirit to discuss, to heal, or to understand more, this is your opportunity. Ask Spirit Anything. It's on 4 Thursdays, beginning on the 12th, and it'll be for 4 weeks. It's on Zoom as well, so you can, once again, sign up. I have 2 slots available. Sign up quickly before these 2 slots are gone. If you want to reserve your slot, text me at 202-253-6009. I'll repeat it, 202-253-6009, and join us on this journey. We would be so happy to have you, and that's what I'm up to these days. So I want to thank you, Jerome, for being with us tonight. Thank you for your wisdom, your love, and your light. I also want to thank our producer, Michael Mangus, Reverend Michael Mangus, for putting us all together. And I want to thank our guests. Thank you, everyone. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Good night.